Hello, friendly listeners. You are here for another week's episode of Mind Power Meets Mystic with me, Michelle Walters, and my podcast co-host, Cinthia Varkevisser. We are excited to have today's episode for you because we are introducing a whole series of episodes that we will be launching on Mind Power Meets Mystic throughout the late spring, summer, maybe into fall. I don't know how long this will take us. But we are going to be talking to a whole bunch of people that we relate to one of the seven chakras. We thought this might be kind of a fun way to get to talk to a lot of people and learn a lot about a lot of things. And everybody knows we like to learn. So, anything you want to add to that, Cinthia, before we jump on in?
Uh, Only that it was really fun coming up with people as well as different businesses that directly relate to one of the chakras. I mean, we know that everyone relates to chakras and that there's always chakra work in business, but that there are some direct relations to these things.
Yeah, it was kind of fun thinking about this. And it's still kind of fun because we're still working on it. But we
Yes.
are ready to make our introduction. And so, with that, Cinthia, what is chakra one all about?
Chakra one has to do with our root, and our root chakra has to do with our safety and security, survival. These are the most basic um, things that we think about. When I think about safety and security, it's usually the lessons that we get from in the womb all the way to like 7 years old. So when I think of safety and security, it's usually about money or savings. It
Mm.
also has to do with safety, as in personal safety. And it can also be like health safety or
Mm.
disaster safety. But it's always about some kind of safety and security.
So, could it also be about houses then? Like where
Absolutely.
you live, because that's kind of part of your safety
Sure.
space?
Yeah,
Yeah.
real estate's a really big deal when it comes to, I mean, it deals with a lot of things, but it actually deals with money. It also deals with safety, as in, if you talk to someone, they can't, some people can't stand having their house right on the sidewalk because there's not enough distance. That's also a safety issue. If you come to our house, it was chosen specifically because even though there's not much of a front yard, it's also above the garage. So you can look down on the street. That's a safety issue. Some people, think about neighborhoods. So it deals with safety on so many other levels. Yeah, it's perfect.
So, I know one of the people that we're talking to for chakra one is a financial coach. What
Absolutely.
other kinds of people are we going to talk to for chakra one,
Well,
root chakra?
I'd also like to talk real estate because it's fascinating how a lot of realtors are actually therapists in a certain way because they have to get through some emotional things with their clients in order to get the house that's right for them. So a realtor's a really good root chakra person, as well as alarm systems. If you think about alarm systems, it's an important thing because everyone has a different idea of what safety is. And I didn't actually realize this until I moved in with Dee, and my idea of safety and her idea of safety, two completely different things. Now, and then there's one more person that we could speak with, and that's someone with self-defense that can do self-defense,
Well,
which
that's good. That would be fun.
also a lot of fun too, right?
Cool. All right. So, let's go ahead and move on to the next chakra.
Sure.
Cinthia, tell us what chakra two is called and what it's all about.
The second chakra has to do with the sacrum, right? So it's down in the base, just above the root chakra, and I like to call it the idi chakra. And it's in good reason. If it's receptivity, connectivity, femininity, so it's the idi. It's not itty bitty. It's just itties. So when I think of the second chakra, I think about creativity, receptivity. So it's about artists. It's about people who can show us how to receive in a certain way. You like to receive a massage? That is, it's a lot of things, but it's probably the easiest way for people to deal with receptivity, right? Receiving a massage. Yeah,
Love to receive a massage.
me too.
So, what about sexuality or sensuality?
Oh, you're
Are
right.
they itties that fall in the second chakra?
Absolutely. I can't believe I forgot about those because they are my favorite. So,
I well, they needed to be brought up.
yeah, no. So actually, I wish we could talk to um Kat. Remember Kat way back when we first started our episodes, and she is a
Deborah Cat, the
dominatrix.
love coach.
It's
You can look up
right.
her. We'll put her episode in the show notes. Yeah.
Yeah, she's amazing. So, uh, dating services, yes, sensuality, sexuality, anything to do with romance, even though you think about it has to do with love. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Romance has to do with, but really it deals with sensuality and receptivity. So that's a different way of looking at receptivity. Thank you for reminding me about that.
Of course. Of course. Okay. So those are the kind of people we're going to talk to for chakra 2.
Mhm.
What about chakra 3? What is it and what it's all about?
Chakra three to me is actually a little bit of a tough one because a lot of people don't realize that they're coming from their third chakra. Third chakra is really about emotions and ego. So when I think about being upset or, hurt feelings, it's usually in the gut. It's usually in the third chakra. When I think about third chakra stuff, it's think about um, being at our age and we still have hurt feelings that are very similar to the hurt feelings that we had as preteens and teenagers, right? So that's where the emotions get charged up a lot of times, and then we may some of us uh, become much more mature and understand and transform these emotions, but a lot of times they stay in that emotional state. So therapists,
I was going to say
great,
therapist, right? Like
right? Therapists are great. Um, Anything else that has to do with the emotions or the ego, right? So I would actually um, I know I probably will get pushback from you on this, and I welcomed it, but I would actually think actors bring up third chakra
okay.
stuff because they allow us to experience things secondhand or re-experience things. So they have to go through a lot of stuff in order to do this third chakra work. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it kind of does. It kind of does. I what I'm hearing from you is it's really about sort of well, I like the idea that it's about gut and it's kind of about your feelings and your emotions, which we don't always remember, but they really do have a lot to do with the gut,
Right.
right? And now we're all talking about how the gut is like your second brain,
It's
right?
true.
Because there's so much going on emotionally and even to some degree kind of mentally in
Right.
your gut. So I think we'll find some great people to talk about third chakra. We love
Absolutely.
talking to people about emotions.
Well,
So
actually, you know what? If you think about it, you and I are third chakra. We help
we're all the
people.
chakras. We're whatever
We're
chakra we choose to be,
That's
Cynthia.
true. That is true. However, when you think about it, a lot of people, when they think of you first, it's like, I got to get over a fear. I got to get over something. That's a third chakra thing. And when they come to me, it's usually there's a relationship challenge or that they're bored or something. They feel stuck in a certain way. That's also third chakra. Now, how we get them to reconcile their third chakra, it does run the gamut, right? When we get to deal with all the chakras in order for them to deal with that. I like to think of it as a gateway to all the other challenges because emotions are messy and we can say we're sad, but then we get to pull apart all the other things, right, that go with it. So, yeah, therapists are great. Third chakras, anything that has to do with confidence as well, right? So it's not
Confidence.
confidence is
Right.
in love, but
Right.
confidence is stepping forward
Right.
and things like that, right?
Yep. No, that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Okay. So moving on, what about fourth chakra?
So the fourth chakra is the heart chakra, and I love talking about the fourth chakra because it's all about love. But when people think love, they usually think one-on-one love, right? Or romantic love. Well, now we're going to go back to second and third chakras. That's romantic love is that way, right? And when we're having really good sex, let's just go there, then all the chakras are working, but we're communicating through the second and third chakras as well as the fourth chakras,
Mm.
right? So, and so that's how that works. Really, the heart chakra is where are we within this beautiful planet? What is our uniqueness? What do we have to offer? What is it that we can provide? How are we of service? And so, anybody that is an advocate or in justice or in, that is also good. Also, in any kind of greater love, right? So, nonprofits are also great for fourth chakra. What do you think of when you think fourth chakra, Michelle?
Well, when I started thinking about it at first, I was thinking about romantic love, but I understand where you're coming from. That is just a slice of the bucket. I'm thinking about love now from a perspective of like the greater love
Yeah,
for people,
right,
and sisterly love, brotherly love,
right.
parent loving kids, like there's love and concern for people all over the place, and I
Right.
don't know exactly who we're going to come up with to talk to for this, but I love the idea of talking to people in nonprofits and people in social justice and um
Community building.
community
Building is
building.
also really good.
um and I mean this is a big gaping hole right now, I
Right.
think, in
Right.
the world, is figuring out how do we show love for one another and compassion, right?
Right.
um
Exactly. Exactly. It really is about going beyond ourselves. And the thing that's beautiful about the fourth chakra is really that is the chakra about being in the moment, right? So it's about being present. The first three chakras, if you're talking about chakras, it's about being in the past. So again, when you and I do our work, we're helping people heal pieces of their past. Exactly.
Okay. Interesting. All
Which
right, let's move on. That took us through fourth chakra. How
yeah.
about fifth?
My favorite because it's my challenge and my passion is the throat chakra. And the throat chakra has to do with expression. So when I think about expression, of course, it's about speaking. It's about teaching, but not from a pontification standpoint. It really is a teaching, speaking, expression, communication. That is all about fifth chakra.
Let's not forget singing.
Singing is huge. Singing is huge. Now, when I think about movement, Michelle is so crazy. When I think about movement, I think about second chakra because it's form of expression. But if you're singing and dancing, then you got both things going on, right?
Right.
And singing's huge. And I love that it also helps us feel things. So it also affects third chakra. So when I think about fifth chakra, of course, it's going to be the speakers and the motivators, right? Those are people that would be so great to help us
It
out.
could also be it could also be writers, couldn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Writers as well. Writers, think about writers is that poets,
Right.
right? The thing
Right.
about writers is I think about them as fifth chakra, but I also think about them as second chakra. So, of course they're going to read their own work and that kind of expression. But yes, any kind of communication that moves us forward.
Very
Yeah.
cool. Okay. And we're coming up towards finish line.
Yeah.
Tell us about the sixth chakra.
Sixth chakra is the intuitive chakra, the third eye, and it sits between our brows. And so it's anything that has to do, yes. And so it has anything to do with intuition, clairvoyancy. Um, it's one of those things where when you have foresight, it's that comes from sixth chakra work. So anyone who works with their intuition, and the beauty of us is that we talk about working within our intuition wherever we go. So it's the people who are visionaries, or they can see people's potential and get them going. So it's your coaches, it's of course your psychics, it's anybody who's willing to work within their intuition to also allow others to use their intuition in their work. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So people who are sort of encouraging intuition. Is it also inspiration or is that the next one?
No, inspiration also works for the sixth chakra because what it does is that it sparks something else, right? So, and so it really does have the visionary piece to it in order for it to be sixth chakra. And of course, everything is more than one chakra. So, so yes, visionaries are also, or inspirational speakers are also seventh chakra, but we'll talk about that in a minute because we're almost there, right?
We're almost there. Are there any other kinds of people that we want to look for third eye chakras?
Third eye chakras, what's really funny is um we could talk to mediums. We could talk to uh anyone who deals with something creatively. So if you think about stocks, right? If you think about the stock market, it's actually, yes, you do homework, but it's an emotional thing and it's also an intuitive thing. So in a weird way, even though we're talking about money, which is first, it also can be a six depending on what
Right, just depending on kind of how you want to think about
how
it or approach it, right?
exactly. So if it's in the futures, it has to do with the futures and predictions.
So what is the seventh chakra?
So the seventh chakra is a oneness with the universe. It's you're opening up and there are no moments, right? It's you just are. It's the state of being. And when we think of the seventh chakra, we think about all our holy people. I'm so sad about the passing of Pope Pope Francis,
Pope
right?
Francis.
Because
I even if you're not pro Catholic or Catholic Church, there was something really heartfelt and wonderful about Pope Francis.
right. And it's really about anything where you bring your spirituality, your whole being into your place. And so the thing that I find so wonderful is you can talk to anybody who is exactly where they are meant to be. I met someone who was an incredible spiritual person and he was a janitor and he loved being a janitor. He loved the meditative thing of the sweeping and that he was very welcoming to whomever he saw, but he was a night janitor, so he didn't see very many people. But he had wonderful stories and he shared of himself in a certain way. When I think of grandparents, right? And the way that they have this sense of being in it, and it's a greater thing. But it's also, yes, the people who are really close to their sacredness. So it could be, they call it God or whatever or the source or universe, and they bring it to everything they do. That is someone working from their seventh chakra. So,
So I guess we're going to talk to some very spiritually connected people.
yes, and those are the best conversations because you never know what you're going to get, but you know you're going to get something good because it all depends on what kind of work they're doing and they know that they're giving it out 100% and you can't help but be uplifted by their work. Again, it doesn't matter what the work is, but if you are uplifted by their work, you know that they're working from their seventh chakra. Of course, there's got to be compassion and everything involved because we know other people who are passionate about their work, but it does not come from that space of being one in oneness.
Right. Right. Well, is there anything else you want to add? I'm excited about this upcoming series.
I am too. I'm actually really curious for our listeners to see if there's anybody that they'd like us to speak
Oh
with
yeah.
based on the things that we're talking about. Like I love the thought of talking to a stock market analyst from one of the chakra perspectives, and I would love it to be not the first chakra, because when I think about stocks, I don't think of it as the most safe thing that, I think of bonds and I think about safety and I think about gold and I think about I don't think about mattress money because I have a fear of fires. And so I'm like, everything is gone. One fire, everything's gone unless you have fireproof safe. And now I'm rambling, but I'm really curious what our feedback will be because even though we've touched on a lot of different professions, there are so many professions that we have skipped over. Like,
Oh, absolutely.
right?
Absolutely. But I think also as we work on this, Cynthia, we may find other professions to slide in various things
Yeah,
because as you're saying, it's kind of fun. It's a good map to use. It's a nice outline for us, but this is us. We're going to be creative and think about it as we go through.
absolutely. You know what I'd be on the lookout for, and I hope our listeners find, is a seventh chakra bus driver.
Oh, that would be marvelous.
Right? I
Yeah.
agree. I
Yep.
agree.
Yep. I'll have to see if I know any bus drivers.
Yeah. Send a shout out.
Okay. We're looking for. Thank you, Cinthia, for telling us all about what we're going to do on this chakra series. And thank you so much to our listeners for tuning in to this episode. This is really the pre-episode for, I don't know how many, but more than 7 episodes coming up all about chakras. Thanks for joining us this week. And please sign up to get our messages and listen to us again. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.